Forgot to put it through here. That's the second time in a row that happens to me. I'll have to cut a slit in this now. Again. Easy boy. Welcome back to my garage. You're probably surprised to see me alive. In the process of drinking myself to death, I found that Master Link clip and another Master Link. Maybe next time. I had actually left it exactly where I should have left it. Dedicated spot on the shelf for small chain related stuff. But I never checked that spot because everything chain related and everything else related for that matter was spread out throughout the garage. I'm switching out the 120 jet for a 130 as it was running lean when we tested it last time. I also raised the needle to the richest position to avoid any half throttle lean spots. We're ready. This will actually be the first time this engine is powering a wheel, even though it's been many years in the making, kind of a milestone. Let's start it up and see how the transmission system behaves. See if there's adjustments needed to be made. I haven't installed that launch lever I talked about yet, which will give me manual control. At the moment, I'm not too concerned about having this perfectly tuned. Just need the engine to be able to move through the gears, end up at final gearing, and then we can perform runs. I want it to work at too low RPM so we can get some normal power curves in. Probably flooded. Yep. microphone died, you might have noticed. I think it happened when I was climbing over the bike. I grabbed my pants and I thought I had just turned it off, but I hadn't. It's just not working anymore. The input jack is destroyed for some reason. I'm not sure what happened. Maybe a solder joint or something came loose. You can't see it, but it could be internal to the little input jack there. Well, it has to be, because there's nothing loose on the board or anything. I feel the fruity variety pairs very well with rum. This video is sponsored by Magic Spoon, cereal reinvented. While working in the garage, I usually don't take the time to go inside and make a sandwich or something, get something to eat. That will change now, because this is so simple and easy. And high quality, 0 grams of sugar, 45 grams net carbs, 13 to 14 grams of protein per serving, and only 140 calories per serving, which is great when you're trying to recover from last year's Christmas. Daytime, I think I'll go with peanut butter with milk. Nighttime, either the cocoa with whiskey or the fruity with rum. Tastes like a cartoon from the Caribbean. Works great plain, as a quick snack also. Their variety pack comes with 4 delicious flavors: fruity, cocoa, peanut butter, and frosty. Click the link below to grab a variety pack of Magic Spoon cereal and try it today. Be sure to use the promo code Twostroke at checkout to get $5 off any order, or go to magicspoon.com/twostrokestuffing. Magic Spoon is so confident in their product, it's backed by a 100% happiness guarantee. If you don't like it for any reason, they'll refund your money, no questions asked. So click the link below or scan the QR code on screen and use the code Twostrokestuffing for $5 off any order, or go to magicspoon.com/twostrokestuffing and save $5 today. Thank you, Magic Spoon. Had to drive into town and pick up a new one. Luckily, it's freezing cold again here for some reason. Had to abort the operations out here yesterday because I ran out of fuel. If that hadn't been the case, I would have kept on filming without sound. Would have been slightly annoying. I'm running a second recorder and microphone now for redundancy. I've ordered a split cable so that I can record 2 things into the camera at once. If my main microphone drops out now, I'll have to try to sync up the audio without a audio track to sync it to. So if the last attempts I did came with sound, you would have heard how the engine would just die when I tried clutching it out. The reason is that the variator is gearing out too early, so it's in high gear when I'm trying to clutch it out. Lighter weights will help with that. Stiffer spring will help with that. A launch lever is optimal, something that forces the engine to not move towards the rear. That's optimal, because then I can hold it in first gear and decide what kind of RPM I want the variator to travel at. We're going to add a launch lever. First, we're going to remove the rollers entirely so that it will stay in first gear no matter what, and then test it. See that we're able to get it going with the clutch engaged and the wheel spinning. The belt is actually too thin. This variator is meant for a wider belt, and the belt is too thin for my plan. It's not fully engaged, it just rides the bushing. Plan B. Remove 3 of the rollers. Now with 3 of my lightest rollers only. I'm also preheating my coolant because it's sitting at 4 degrees Celsius now. Would have spent ages trying to get the engine up to a reasonable temperature without doing this. And the noise is my heater, of course. We're up to about 20 degrees Celsius, should be sufficient. Let's give it a go. Got to turn on the fuel. We got what we came for eventually. The carb needs tuning. I can't hold it at full throttle except for at really high RPM for some reason. Probably need to replace the needle with a different profile. I'll see what I've got in stock here. This will work with the engine running a little bit better. Now with only 3 of the light rollers, it stays in first gear. That clutch is extremely grabby. It's obviously not meant for slipping much. And now it's extremely hot. Not the easiest thing to control. Could also be me, my inexperience with clutch work. Easier to get it tuned okay with that other smaller carb, but I don't think it will appreciate the severe angle here. I was gonna do some measurements and map out my needles, but turns out I've got 3 identical ones and then the one I'm using, which is leaner. You can see how much it sticks out there compared to these ones. Let's see if a richer pilot can do us any good. That'll richen up the whole range. 58 is the largest one I've got. There's probably a 45 or something in there now. A slight bit better with the larger pilot jet. The problem area has moved up in throttle position now. Seems to be at full throttle. From earlier experience with this carb on this engine, I think the needle jet is too tight, too small. We'll have to see if I've got any larger needle jets. As I've been mucking around with microphones and stuff, I'm running out of time today. But tonight, we'll check that out tonight. I've taken apart all my PWK carbs. Unfortunately, all the needle jets are the same size, except for the length. The genuine cane carb has the same length needle jet as this carb. We'll have to do something. We'll have to drill out one of these. But can we be sure we're running lean? I should do some more testing before drilling anything. It seems odd that at wide open throttle, this should not be the restriction. The hole in the main jet is much smaller than this. I tried really large main jets in the carb on this engine while it was in the other dyno frame. Let's reinstall the needle jet, the emulsion tube and all the other stuff, and let's try with a really large main jet. Going from 130 to a 150 main jet. Forgot to install the needle jet and emulsion tube. Larger main jet, let's see how it behaves. It almost seems like the bowl is getting drained of fuel. Has to be the bowl draining. I can hold it at a steady throttle position for a little while and then it just dies. We know this carb works fine on the other engine. Maybe this is some kind of a weird resonance effect with this intake geometry and the length. Let's try removing the velocity stack first and see if that makes any difference. This is a 28mm carb, which shouldn't be too large. Ran much better with the 21mm Delorto though, but that's not a 40-degree float ball carb and would be difficult in this arrangement. Let's give this one a couple more chances first. Let's not spend more time this week fighting that carb. Let's use this one, which we know works on that engine. I 3D printed this intake a long while back and it fits the carb. This was used for resonant intake testing, which will be back sometime. This carbon fiber nylon has sealing issues. It bends too much. I think our best bet is to use something squishy for as gasket material. Make a gasket out of this rubber sheet and we'll see how well it works. It's bowing fairly extreme here, but that rubber gasket might do the trick. I'll get a feeler gauge and check the situation. Well, that's a no-go, even with the rubber gasket. Seems to have done the trick. It's not Monday. Normally the video would have been out by now. Yes, we got the engine to spin the wheel on the dyno. It doesn't come across too well in the footage, but I'm still struggling with the carb cutting out at higher RPM and higher throttle openings. Much less of that stuff when it was mounted in the other dyno frame. And the difference is cooling. I was just running a small radiator. I'm wondering if my super efficient coolant system is stealing all the heat from the combustion chamber and the plug is fouling. I've got some hotter plugs here. The upside down configuration of the engine is probably not helping. With good cooling, it might be that we need to start and warm up the engine properly on a hotter plug. Then when it's running properly and producing heat, we'll switch the plug out for a normal tenor plug. Down from an NGK10 plug to a 7 plug, which is far too hot, but could be the solution before the engine is up to proper temperature. Also preheated the engine to about 30 degrees Celsius. Nice and warm. Let's see what happens. Nah. We're ending this video in tragedy, yet again. I'm pretty sure our old friend fuel foaming in the float bowl is rearing his ugly face again. And that is our problem. I watched the footage now and the carb is definitely experiencing fuel foaming in the bowl. That's probably our issue. The second time in this video I've lost some footage. There's an issue when the camera is transitioning between one SD card to the other. Seems to be a problem with these cards and not the ones in the camera now. Need to figure out what's the problem so that it doesn't happen again. What I said in the lost footage is that I'm leaving for Germany tomorrow. I'm gonna meet some really knowledgeable people. the icing of the two-stroke cake. In addition to fuel foaming in the bowl, we have that large crankcase volume coupled with a reed valve, and they're not really friends, reed valves and large crankcase volumes. That could be a problem too. I'm expecting a lot of weird stuff happening below the power band, but not in the power band, even with a reed valve and a large volume. Two-stroke cake icing people will probably have some valuable feedback. Could bring me into the light. See you next time.